You didn't end up in the friend zone because you weren't good enough. You ended up there because you didn't understand what was actually happening. Most men are working off a completely wrong map. They think attraction is built through effort, through being kind enough, available enough, impressive enough on paper. It isn't. Attraction runs on a different system entirely, a system that most men never see because no one ever showed it to them. Not their fathers, not their friends, not any classroom they've ever sat in. What you're about to hear are 4 points that map that system from the inside. Not theory, not advice, the actual psychology behind why she stays, why she leaves, and why the men she can't think about are almost never the ones who tried hardest. The first point, she doesn't want you to see her face, she wants you to see her. Think about what a woman hears from the moment she enters this world. Every room she walks into has something to say about how she looks. Her family, her friends, strangers on the street, social media. From the very beginning, the world around her ties her entire value to how attractive she appears. So by the time she's an adult, she's heard it thousands of times. You're beautiful, your smile, your eyes. She knows exactly what those words mean. They mean a man looked at the surface and liked what he saw. That's not rare. That's 99% of every man who's ever approached her. When you walk up to a woman and lead with her appearance, even if the compliment is completely genuine, you've confirmed what she already expects. You're number 99. And 99 sounds like background noise. But here's what actually cuts through all of that. I notice you choose your words carefully. You feel them before you say them. The way you talk about music, you don't just listen to it, you go into it. Those observations didn't come from looking at her, they came from actually watching her. There's a difference between a man who looks and a man who sees, and that difference is enormous. Women spend their entire lives being looked at. Almost no one ever really sees them. Not the way she actually is, the thoughts she carries, the things she notices, the version of herself she shows in small, unguarded moments when she doesn't think anyone is paying attention. When you're the man who catches those moments, she can't file you. You don't fit the pattern she's encountered 100 times before. And a person she can't categorize is a person she keeps returning to in her mind. This is where female psychology actually activates, not through flattery, but through recognition. The recognition of something she always hoped someone would notice, but stopped expecting anyone to bother with. Jung called it the mirror, the moment a person feels truly reflected by another, not their appearance, their interior. When that happens, the connection that forms isn't surface level. It goes straight to the emotional core. So stop starting with what's visible. Start paying attention to what isn't. The way she pauses before answering a hard question. The things she gets quietly excited about when no one's performing for her. The ideas she holds carefully, like she's not sure the world is ready for them. See that and say what you see. That's the difference between a man she forgets and a man who lives in the back of her mind for years. The second point. This one is harder to hear. A woman will use a weak man, not because she's a bad person, because weakness reads as unsafe, and her entire psychology is wired to move away from unsafe. This goes deeper than modern dating culture. This is evolutionary biology running in the background of every interaction she has. For most of human history, a woman's physical safety, her survival and her children's survival, depended on the man she attached herself to. A man who couldn't hold his ground under pressure wasn't just unattractive, he was a liability. That wiring is still active. It doesn't disappear because we live in a different century. So when a man gives everything, his time, his attention, his principles, his self-respect, trying to make her happy, trying to avoid losing her, she doesn't feel grateful. She feels something much closer to contempt, not because she wants to, but because the behavior is sending a signal she can't ignore. This man doesn't know what he's worth. Excessive kindness without character isn't kindness. It's an offer that costs the man giving it everything and signals to her that he doesn't believe he deserves more than that. Calmness without decisions isn't wisdom, it's hesitation. Flexibility without limits isn't openness, it's exploitation waiting to happen. The man she actually wants is the one who can tell her no, not to be difficult, not because he's playing games, but because he has a clear sense of what he stands for, and he won't trade it away, even when she's the one asking. That's not arrogance. That's the only thing she can genuinely trust. You've probably watched this play out in your own life or someone else's. A man gives everything, and she leaves anyway. Not for someone more looking, not for someone with more money, for someone who made her feel less certain. That uncertainty isn't cruelty. It's her system doing exactly what it was built to do, responding to the presence of a man who doesn't need her approval to feel complete. That man doesn't collapse when she's upset. He doesn't dissolve himself to keep peace. He says clearly and calmly, "I respect myself too much to let anyone cross that line, including you." When she hears that, not as a performance, but as the simple truth of who he is, she doesn't walk away. She adjusts. The third point, and this is where most men completely lose the plot. She's testing you all the time, not sometimes, not when she's in a difficult mood. Every conversation, every small interaction, the strange question that comes out of nowhere, the minor complaint that doesn't quite make sense, the "would you cut off your friend for me?" when she doesn't actually care about your friend. This isn't her being difficult. This is how female psychology scans for stability. From the time she was young, she learned something important. Safety isn't something a man promises. It's something he proves, repeatedly, under pressure, in moments when it would be easier to just agree. So she creates those moments, sometimes consciously, often completely instinctively. But the test is always asking the same question. Are you solid, or will you bend to keep me happy? She doesn't want you to agree with her all the time. She wants to see that you know when to agree and when to stop and hold your ground. Especially early on, this is when the testing is sharpest, when she's watching most carefully, when the results of these small moments will shape everything that comes after. Most men fail without ever knowing they were being tested. They give in, softening their position to avoid conflict, and she registers he can be moved. Or they get defensive, raising their voice, over-explaining, and she registers he can't handle pressure. Both answers are wrong. The right answer isn't in the words, it's in the composure. She says, "You always reply late, and you know you don't. Don't defend, don't get tense, don't reach for evidence. Stay still, almost amused. My replies take time. I make sure they're worth reading." She knows you don't reply late. She was never asking about reply times. She was asking, "Will you shake?" And you just showed her you don't. That's the only answer that mattered. A woman may get frustrated with the man who holds his ground, but she'll remember him. She forgets the man who bent over backwards trying to keep her comfortable and lost himself in the process. Respect always comes before love, and respect is only possible for a man she cannot move. The fourth point, and this is the one that changes how you see everything else. She doesn't choose with logic. She chooses with emotion. And most men spend years building the wrong thing, trying to win a game they're playing on the wrong field entirely. They build the resume, the income, the credentials, the body, the apartment, thinking, if I become impressive enough on paper, she'll choose me. She won't. Not because those things don't matter at all, but because they're not what she's actually choosing with. A woman chooses based on how you make her feel, not what you make her think about you. You can be educated, financially stable, physically fit, everything society tells a man he needs to be. And if talking to you feels like reading a manual, if every response you give is analytical and every conversation ends with a solution, she'll respect you and find someone else. Because she doesn't want to be managed. She wants to be moved. This is the thing most men misunderstand about why women lose interest. It's not about looks or money or availability. It's about whether she feels something specific when she's with you, something she can't quite explain or get rid of. When she talks about something that's bothering her, she isn't asking you to fix it. She's asking to feel that you're actually there. Not analyzing, not offering steps, present. I hear you. I'm here with you. That's not weakness. That's not being passive. That's presence without an agenda. And it's the rarest thing a man can offer. The man who moves her doesn't need to be perfect. He doesn't need to have the right answer. He needs to make her feel something she can't explain and can't get rid of even when she tries. When you're in her mind, you're a possibility. When you're in her emotions, you become permanent. She can't think her way out of a feeling. Every woman has tried. But a feeling that strong, attached to a specific person, it doesn't leave because she decides it should. So stop building the resume. Ask yourself one question instead. When she walks away from a conversation with you, does she feel something she can't name? If yes, you're already inside. If not, nothing else you've built matters yet. These 4 points aren't techniques. They're a map of how attraction actually works, not the version men were sold. The man who sees her, the man who holds his ground, the man who passes the test without trying to pass it, the man who moves her without explaining himself. That man isn't performing anything. He's just the rarest thing she's encountered. And she won't let go of rare. Dark Male Code.